Hi, everyone, and welcome to, I think this is our fourth edition of the Collateral Nation podcast with my amazing co host, Dr. Kevin Morgan. He's a pathologist, he's a PAD patient, PAD warrior, he's a triathlete, he's an author of Fight the Crippling Pain of Peripheral Artery Disease. It's an incredible book. He's getting ready to release a brand new handbook for PAD and exercise. So make sure you go to inspirationalselfhelpbooks.com and sign up for his newsletter to find out when that is going to come out. But of course, if you are logged in and you are watching our weekly podcast, you will be one of the first to know when that's going to be released. But you're also going to get a little heads up of some of the content because Kevin is here every single week. Thankfully, we absolutely love him to answer your questions and offer some tips and tricks. Today, we're talking about the emotional roller coaster of PAD that is hindering your ability to do what you need to do, which is to walk, walk, walk. It's so hard to get motivated to walk, walk, walk when you fear the pain that you're going to experience when you walk. But no pain, no gain. Yeah, I'm going to be a little cliche, Kevin, on that one. I can see you cringing over there on that. But it's true, right? You have to walk through at least some sort of pain, the claudication in your legs, to trigger your body to grow those amazing natural bypasses.
Correct. Well, you have to know the difference between good pain and bad pain. There's the pain of training, which is what you're doing to grow collateral. So you have to push it to the edge, but not beyond the edge. But you don't want to injure yourself. And injury is related to bad pain. So that comes with experience. My background is in endurance training and Ironman distance races. And boy, I injured myself plenty of times by pushing too hard. And you just have to learn how to listen to your body.
And we have on YouTube watching, we have Patrick who's watching on YouTube. Hello, Patrick. We have Stuart and we have Mike and we have Douglas who are in the live studio audience who probably will be chiming in. I can see that Mike's out there walking right now, just as I am, which I love these Wednesdays, Kevin, because we can all just motivate each other to get together and to walk, walk, walk. And we have you to help coach us every single time. For example, in the past couple of weeks, every single time I'm doing this with you, I remember to claw my way, and it helps take the pressure off my hips. And I even got my dad to do it. You would be so impressed. He had hip surgery lately and he has some heavy legs, and he went out there and he said, "Oh my gosh, you have me curling my toes when I'm out there walking now."
Yeah, we've
So you're
forgotten how
having an impact.
we've forgotten how to use our feet. Our ancestors used their feet to climb trees, but we stuffed them in shoes and forgot about them. So now it's time to wake them up.
That is so go into that a little bit more because that's really interesting that we don't use our toes as effectively. I mean, it sounds weird to say that we really don't use our toes. And the toes are really key to improving the circulation and strengthening your feet.
That's true. Your toes are really important for many things, including balance. I remember going into a bar somewhere one day. It might have been in Boston. And there was a guy sitting at the bar drinking a beer. And I thought, that's odd. He didn't have any arms. He was holding his beer mug with his foot, literally. And he's using his foot like a hand. And we underestimate the agility of our feet. And so it's a really good thing to wake them up. And in doing so, you'll improve blood flow. And the thing that people don't realize is a tendency to think we have a heart, which is a pump, which is actually two pumps, and that drives blood around our arteries and capillaries, the tissues themselves, and back through venules and veins and back to our heart. So we think of those as passive pipes. There's nothing whatsoever passive about the rest of the pipes in the cardiovascular system. You have to remember every muscle is a pump. Every cell it has many, many pumps. The whole body is a system of pumps. And so by moving your toes and doing it right, I managed to convert my feet into blood pumping systems. And it's made quite a difference, actually, to how much I can walk without claudication. And now I'm slowly applying it to running. And oh boy, running with PAD is really tough. I'm finding a way around it. I decided to sign up for another half Ironman race in May, which will cause me to focus on this because the run is what gets screwed up in half Ironman races, because PAD has no effect on my swim or my bike. Nothing, no effect at all. Unless I'm climbing a really steep hill on the bike, I don't claudicate at all. When I start to run, it's really tricky. And once I master it, I'll be telling people about it, because I love to run. I mean, I love to run. Of course, there's always age. I'm 82, so that also is a factor, but I ignore that. That's boring.
Age is nothing. It's just a number. And we have PT 103 that's watching right now on YouTube, and they say that they're doing your foot exercises and it's actually working. You're not surprised? I'm not surprised, because I started doing them. We even have Mike. If Mike wants to unmute, Mike is out there walking as well, and he's joining our live studio audience. He even says your pad 100, which is that's the kind of using your feet as pumps, right? And flex and point and flex and point, but in a strategic way. Make sure you go to Kevin's YouTube channel, Fit Old Dog, and you can watch the entire video. And he even does it 100 times, and you can do it along with him if you save the video, as Mike has done, right, Mike?
Yeah, well, every single morning I flex my feet, I spread my toes as I bring my feet up, and then I grab them as if I'm grabbing something with my toes as I'm putting them back down. To start off with, it is a bit of a strain, but after you've done it for about a week or two, it just becomes the norm. So it's really helped me out a lot. Really helped me out.
And so, Mike, it's interesting that you bring it up. You're tying us into the topic of the day, which is really that emotional roller coaster of PAD, and how to get that motivation when you fear that pain. You're not, you're sitting here and you're an adult now, and you can't do what you used to do. And that could be frustrating, and it could be really hard on your motivation, because you're like, God, I just can't do what I used to do. I can't get to 100 of these flex and points. Like, how is this possible? How do you get motivated and conquer that mountain of emotions that can hinder your ability to get out and just keep persevering? So how were you able to conquer that emotional mountain and just say, you know what, I'm going to get it at some point. I will get there, and to stay motivated to continue to try for the 100?
I'm actually, as you mentioned that, sorry, Kevin, I'm still in the emotional mountain. I've still not conquered it. Even on Friday, just gone, I was doing the treadmill, and for the first time in a long time, I had to stop after like 40 minutes. And I literally had to stop and take myself off the treadmill, because the claudication pain was something that I'd never experienced before. And yet, I walk on the treadmill every single day for an hour and 40 minutes every single day, and I can walk straight through the pain. And for some reason on Friday, it just took me by surprise. It just really did. And so it made me not query whether I wanted to carry on doing the treadmill, but it puts that fear back into you that, is it going to happen the next time? Is it going to happen the next time after that? And so the emotional mountain that you're talking about, Kim, it's always there. I don't feel as though I've got to the top of that mountain yet. So,
well, it's a journey, not a destination. That's important to remember. The first trick once you deal with PAD is you have to grieve the past and let it go. And what you could do yesterday is irrelevant. It's what you can do today that's important. And you will have good days and bad days. And so when you have a bad day like that, don't just let it go as a bad day. Just let it go. Your body's telling you to back off. You may be pushing too hard. It's actually a message to you to chill a bit. And then the next day, you may have a good day. And what I've noticed from training, and I've been doing Ironman for 25 years, is you can go into a workout gung-ho thinking this is going to be great, and it can be a terrible workout. And another one, you really don't want to work out at all. You'd rather stay in bed, and that turns out to be the best workout. So, you'll run into that. Fear is boring, unnecessary. You just deal with it. To me, this is what we're doing with people, is helping them take on the hero's journey of Joe Campbell. It's basically, you have to take on that journey and fight the dragon. And the dragon is largely your pain or fear of pain. And you get through that. And the more you get through it, the better you get at it, and the braver you get. It just, there's no such thing as courage without a challenge. But what you're doing is exactly right. And some days I'm disappointed and my performance is terrible. And I say, okay, I just chalk it off to a bad day. And the next day I do what I can do. So it takes courage, absolutely takes courage. And so just have a bit of grit and on you go. And so all you guys are doing well. The question is, how do we help other people? How do we get them to take it on? Because you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And you can take a PAD client to wiggling their toes, but you can't make them wiggle their toes. Oh, by the way, I need to say, when you move your feet, as they come off the ground, you're spreading your toes, not pointing your toes. You have to spread them to help blood flow. And then you grab the ground to contract the muscles on your feet and somewhat in your calves. So that's the pumping action. But all that's described on my videos. So, but understanding what you're doing is really important. It's not just flapping your feet around. I mean, it's much more than that. So anyway, that's me.
No, that's really helpful because I'm trying to do it right now as we speak. And it's something that people have to realize they're not going to conquer that right away. And it does feel kind of weird. I have to really concentrate on those toes, but it's interesting because when you're concentrating on something, you're focusing on something like curling your toes, it passes the time and it takes your mind off of, for example, with me and my hip, it takes my mind off of that because I have something else to focus on. And it's a more positive thing to focus on because I know I'm going to do something to improve it if I can conquer that. And so I'm just concentrating on curling my toes. So they're out and I bring them in, and they're out and I bring them in as I step forward.
That's right. Another thing you can do if you're having trouble is use your hands, and your toes will copy your hands.
Oh, actually, that's right. That's actually true. When I'm doing that'll be really funny if I'm out there walking and I'm doing this and I'm clawing my hands as I'm out there walking. But you got to do what you got to do. And I hear this all the time that, people are really scared to go out, and walk out, as, Mike, as he's in our live studio audience, is doing right now, when you have PAD, because it can be embarrassing for people to have to just stop and sit on the curb and you have to kind of get over what other people think. I know it's hard for a lot of people. I still struggle with it, but you do have to. You can pretend you're stretching. You can just hang out, bring your phone with you, pretend you're on your phone for a second, whatever you have to do to make you feel better about pushing through and doing the right exercise regimen for you to improve your PAD. And so that's really primary. It's number one. It's really kind of overcoming, that. But also, secondarily, and maybe you can help with this, Kevin, is the fear of not being able to get back. So you walk, then you get there and you realize, oh my gosh, I pushed it too much, and now I don't think I can get home. Can you talk people through how to plan for an appropriate set of exercise for them so they don't get stranded and they don't have the fear of being stranded?
Okay, there's two questions. Number one is what other people are thinking. Let me promise you something really important. Most people aren't thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about you at all. I go out and I'll stretch. I go on airplanes. I don't so much now. And I would do yoga on the plane in the area of the space where there was room. Sometimes a flight attendant would ask me if I was sick or something. Otherwise, people just ignore me. People are thinking about themselves. That's what they do. So don't worry about that. Let that go. The second thing, in terms of worrying about getting home, go around in a circle instead of going away and coming back. I mean, I do a lot of my training now where I live. I don't go out on the main roads so much because it's extremely dangerous cycling here. Cyclists get killed here fairly frequently by cars and trucks running over them, or teenagers texting. So I have a 1 mile loop outside my house. and I go round and round that loop. It's almost exactly a mile. I go around it up to 100 times. I'm familiar with it. I know all the traffic patterns, that I'm safe. I'm never more than a half a mile from my house. I'm on a bike. If I have a flat, I carry my gear, but if it's not worth it, then I just push the bike home, but that happens very rarely. So find a safe place. I would say a good place to practice at first is when the schools are out or the students aren't there, drive over to a local school and do your workouts on the track. It's flat. Sometimes they're really good surfaces, especially university tracks. So do your workout in a place you can go round and round, and there's your car, and you can get home no problem. But this session is supposed to be about the emotions that we face. The biggest problem people have is grieving the past and moving on with what they have. This is step number one of any training program based upon recovering from a serious disease or just serious, it could even be a motorcycle wreck. It doesn't matter what it is. Suddenly things are different and you have to let go of the past, and that's called grieving. And you have to accept the stages of grief are well known. First there's the shock, and then there's the anger and frustration, and that's slowly followed by acceptance. And then eventually you adapt to the new situation, and then you suddenly find you've actually learned something valuable. And I promise you, life actually feels better. When I've been through this multiple times. I've been through divorce, and that's very, very hard. I'm going to be separated from my kids when they were teenagers through no fault of mine or my partner. I had to go through that. So I was fortunate to go through therapy to deal with the grief of losing that marriage of 20 years, but we're still really good friends. And so that was a first lesson. But then when I discovered I had an aortic aneurysm in 2010, it was quite a shock. Here I was, a scientist, well respected in the world of science, and an Ironman distance triathlete, finishing full Ironman races. And suddenly I felt myself transformed into an aortic cripple. So in my mind, I was an aortic cripple. Now that is a very bad story to tell yourself. And our lives are defined by the stories we tell ourselves. And so I couldn't get much advice from doctors. There's nobody done Ironman races with a AAA stent graft. So I took it on in 2011 as a result of understanding my problem and things I needed to avoid. For instance, with a AAA stent graft, you don't want to be going on a rowing machine. It's too dangerous. So I use the elliptical trainer. I modified and adapted it, like you guys are adapting the way you're using the treadmill and your pace and the incline. You explore that and optimize your training. And so it took me a while to find ways that were safe. For instance, on bumpy roads, I stand on the bike because I don't want to shock my stent. I don't want to dislocate it, which, by the way, I did do in 2013 with a bike wreck in Las Vegas. I was in World's Half Ironman Championships there. The guy ran into the back of me. Anyway, these things happen. But the first thing you have to do is grieve the past. Let go of it. Let it go. Man, I wouldn't want to be a teenager again. I won't much trouble grieving that. Anyway, so that's the trick. So you go through the process of grief. You let it go. You assess what you do have. Really important to build a support network. This becomes increasingly important as you get older. And you know how you build a support network? You be kind to other people. That's all you have to do, and care about other people. And before you know it, they're caring about you. And that is really important.
I love that.
You know, you go through the shock and the anger, then adaptation and awareness of what you have, and you get your life back on track. And if you've truly succeeded, you will become what we like to call a peer expert. You now have the experience with this condition, so you can talk to other people who are just in the shock phase. And you can say, wait a minute, don't give up. There's things you can do. I did it. And so, you know, I tell stories, this training plan and other articles. And my current newsletter is very much about that. The one goes out on Thursday. I tell stories of people I admire, heroes I have, people have overcome really serious tragedies. Like one guy got shot in Iraq and lost the use of the bottom half of his body. I tell that story and how he overcame it. And now he's very happy helping other people in the same situation. So that's the hero's journey. Your dragon isn't PAD. Your dragon is fear. So I say, overcome that fear, and if you are courageous, you will.
And that's why I talked about, the fear of what people think, the fear of getting stranded. It's literally saying, okay, I see you, fear, but what can you do in order to overcome that? Like, you have to focus on what you can do and take yourself step by step, not trying to conquer the mountain right away, but taking it step by step, because as you said, you're training. It's pad training. It's a journey, not a destination. So take your time getting there and do what you need to do at your pace, correct?
Yes, and as one of my coaches said, Chris Hout, who was very direct, said to me one day, Kevin, this is training camp, not complaining camp. So I shut up.
Tough love, tough love.
Well, what we just done was a 100-mile ride, in the middle of which was a 6,000-foot bike climb up to the snow line and back down again. And I just said, he said, how you doing, Kevin? I said, well, I'm feeling a bit tired. And he goes, this is training camp. He didn't want to hear about me feeling tired. So after that, I didn't do that.
And I think it's really important to focus on, what you can do, because also so many of our friends that are in our network, they have long gaps between even just a diagnosis and when they can see a consultant, when they can see a vascular specialist. And so it doesn't serve you to continue to spin and spin and spin and spin. Those are things about everything that could happen and what the doctor's going to say and stuff. You need to focus on what you can control. What can you control? And that's what you're here telling people, what they can control with PAD every single day, which is to start at your pace and start that walking regimen, start that exercise regimen right now. Slowly but surely, be where you are, but know where you prefer to be, which is, a healthier life, being able to conquer that mountain, being able to go a mile, being able to play with your grandkids. Have that goal, set that purpose.
Yeah, and do it for other people in your life. Do it to help others. Forget about yourself so much. One thing you do have to learn, which really, really helps me, you have to learn to control your mind. You can't control your emotions, but you can control how you respond to your emotions. And generally, your emotions are a response to what you're thinking, consciously or unconsciously. And I would say the book that helped me the most with that was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. If you do the exercises in there, you can get that thinking, worrying monkey off your back and get on with your day and enjoy yourself. So that has actually helped me a great deal, I must admit. And so, but the emotional challenges of PAD are significant. It's extremely tough, mean. It's a mean disease. People say, what's it like? And I say, imagine someone puts a tourniquet around your leg above the knee, and every month they come along and tighten it. And that's what it's like. And so, but if you grow collaterals, you can slay the dragon. You can keep going. Now, whether you can run marathons, I'll let you know later.
We'll find out next May, but it'll be fun to have you every week talk and do a little snippet to update us on your journey and what you're doing to prepare for that marathon, because we do have quite a few people that are in our network that told us that, we're runners. And then suddenly one day they ended up with a cramp, and the cramp was not necessarily lack of minerals, lack of water, or lack of hydration. It literally was lack of blood flow due to PAD. And it used to be that just a sedentary lifestyle, just smoking, just, diabetes, all ended up leading to PAD. But there's so many other factors that we're learning. You have, for example, Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, legendary football player in the NFL, now coaching Colorado, the Buffaloes. He has PAD because he's hypercoagulable. They don't call it PAD when you're hypercoagulable, but it still presents in the same way. In his case, it's blood clots. For many people, it's also, if you wanted the definition of PAD, it's atherosclerosis in your arteries or actual calcium in your arteries, tougher material. But it still presents the same. And I still wish they would have called it PAD, because in the advanced stage, it's all the same. It's called critical limb ischemia. And so even someone like him who's incredibly active, many of you out there are really active. And that is even a bigger hit. One day you're running and the next day, nothing. And this was the same with you, Kevin, right? Just sometimes it's genetics.
Yeah, mine was genetic. I got a hypertriglyceridemia I discovered in my 30s. I tried to fix it with diet. That helped a bit. Drugs did no good at all. And finally, I fixed my blood lipids with Ironman training. That fixed it totally. I've got articles written about that on my blog. Joshua just made some comment about signing up for my newsletter, I think.
Yes,
You can,
someone, oh, that's PT 103.
yeah, you can sign up on my website, inspirationalselfhelpbooks.com. And you can actually, if you write to me in response to a newsletter, I read those responses. I mean, sometimes there's too many and I miss the odd one, but most of the time, if you have a specific question or something you want me to address at these sessions, just write and ask. I usually can reply. Some people I reply to one-on-one, but there's a limit to how much I can do that. For instance, I got contacted by a woman, Alicia, who was very worried about her dad. And in the end,
Yes.
she sent me some images, which were very helpful. It turned out her dad had a lesion that wasn't healing on the toe next to her little toe. So I said, would you send me the O2 sats? Just putting an O2 sats meter on your toe so you measure oxygen tension, which is ideally above about 95, 96%. So she, within minutes, sent a picture of her dad's O2 sats for the middle toe. It was normal, 98%. That got me thinking. I said, wait a minute, the lesion's on the toe next to the little toe. So I said, send me the O2 sats for the little toe. That came in at 89, way below optimal 86. So the little toe and the one next to it was shorter blood, and the one in the middle and the other two toes, including the big toe, were fine. So you need to understand what's going on. But my thoughts on that, it hadn't occurred to me to put the O2 sats meter on different toes. That's the value of these conversations and people asking questions. It's very helpful. It's just like with books. The reviews that help you are the negative reviews. I didn't like this because, I didn't like the narrative style or whatever. That's how you learn. And so people calling in here and asking questions, like Alan, I'm impressed as hell by Alan. I mean,
Isn't he great?
One leg below the knee and the other, he's lost it's not metatarsal, it's more like distal tarsal. So he has no toes. So all my talk of doing, the toe exercises of PAD 100 is useless. And then Alan corrected me. He said, no, I have phantom toes and I can wiggle and do the exercise of my phantom toes, which works the muscles upstream anyway. It never would have occurred to me. So people asking questions at sessions like this helps myself, and I assume Kim, a great deal.
It really does, because you never know. The thing is with PAD is that everyone's experience is so different. There are so many different risk factors. That's why I always, when people say we need standard guidelines and we don't have standard guidelines, I almost fear standard guidelines in treatment, because every single presentation, every one of the 12,000 people in our network, every one of them has a completely different story. There are similarities, right? But everyone has different experiences, different risk factors, those different limitations, whatever they might be, that are a part of their disease. And so we really try to treat everyone as an individual, and we want you to feel free to let us know what you're experiencing, to just share your experience. And that's why with us and the Global PAD Association and with Kevin and all of his books is we customize it for you. We want you to participate. We want you to engage. We want to be here to help you in your personal journey. So many people, Kevin, come to me and say, oh, I just didn't want to bother you because I know you're busy, and there are people that are more important to me. There is no one that's more important than you. I had this one guy who's trying to get into we're having trouble getting him into our walking program. We do have a walking program and a walking app that people can sign up for. And he's in the UK, and he didn't want to use his phone number. So we're having some trouble changing. And I didn't get back to him yesterday because I was a little bit, I was not feeling too good myself. And he wrote me this morning. He's like, I'm so sorry. I know I'm not a priority. And I was like, no. You are a priority. Sometimes life can take you in a different direction. And I have to shut my eyes for a few minutes, but you're a priority and we want to hear from you. And we have Patrick who's here, Patrick Prendergast, who's right there on YouTube. We just shared his story yesterday on the Heart of Innovation, our Save My Piggies podcast. And so hello, Patrick. And he says all your stuff is really helpful. We have another Patrick that's on there that's listening in as well on YouTube. Make sure you do comment, because we have Joshua, our YouTube producer, who is right there waiting for you to comment and bringing all the comments to us. So whatever questions you have, whatever comments, we want you to participate, and we want you to know that you are important. Your journey is important. So whatever we can do to help you, let us know.
Yeah,
And Kevin, I'm taking,
my goal is,
I'm out of breath on my treadmill here.
yeah, you're getting out of shape. Come on. Anyway, I did a stress test one time. I was in full Ironman training, like in my late 60s. They put me on the treadmill, and it was just a routine stress test for routine people. And they put me on the thing. It was like 5 minutes on a 1% incline. They said, that's weird. Nothing's happening. And I'm like, of course nothing's happening. You haven't got me doing anything. So when you're in shape, you're not the norm. And that is a very important issue. When you go and see a physician, you have to understand their brains are programmed for the average person. And if you are very fit or not very fit, and they're used to seeing the other group, beware their advice. Doctors are doing the best they can. They can't know your body as well as you do. So At the end of the day, the mantra on my website is helping people to help themselves. You have to take responsibility. You are your best doctor. Your doctor is a tool. Your surgeon is a tool. He's one of the many tools in your toolbox. The treadmill is a tool. Your partners are a tool. They're people or things that help you deal with it, but you are your best physician. At the end of the day, you really are. So, somebody wants me to send my website address?
Yes,
Oh.
inspirationalselfhelpbooks.com. We can put that in chat. Maybe Josh can also put that in chat. But we have PT 103 that has a question about your pad 100. Wants to know, when they get to the 70 mark, the top of the foot and the sides of the ankle become painful. Is that okay? What do you suggest?
You mustn't push it beyond what you can do. It's like it's endurance training, basically. This is more strength training than endurance training, because when you go for a 10-mile walk doing this stuff, that's endurance training. And so you have to adjust your load. The best way to think about it is like a lactate threshold test. But if you're not familiar with that, it's not going to help very much. You have to watch the level of pain. I know when I do it, I can do 100 no problem. But first of all, I got to about 30, and it's like, what the hell? And then I got further and further, but I've done so much endurance training. I know how far to push it. You don't want to have what I call damaging or bad pain. And so you ease up. That's the answer. You have to know the difference, and that comes with experience. And yeah, 70, you're starting to get there. 100, and I chose 100 because of the Pilates 100 exercise I used to do when I was being trained in Pilates. 100 is a lot. 1,000 is even more.
1,000 is a lot more. Just little by little, incrementally. But Kevin,
yes,
I want to go through the stages of grief when it comes to and applying it to PAD. I think that's so important, because we also have Marie, who's here in the live studio audience, and she's one of our greatest fighters. With so much, ended up starting out with not the right doctors, now finally getting the right doctors, on our team and such. And some days, as she always says, and I think even Mike even mentioned earlier, you don't even want to get out of bed. And we have another Alan that always joins us, and he has, severe, chronic pain throughout his whole body. And he's like, sometimes I just don't want to even get out of bed. The emotional toll is just so hard because of the pain. But talk about, things that you can tell your mind to get over, because I think the toughest part is getting over the grief of the whole thing, right? And leaving yesterday behind. Talk a little bit more about that to get started.
It's absolutely extremely difficult and hard work. The real trick is, it's like in running. If you're not a runner, you wouldn't understand. But when you're a runner, I ran the Boston Marathon in 2009. I was a runner. Okay, I could run. But the first mile is always the worst mile. It's just a fact. When you start the PAD 100, the first 10 or 20, you're like, why am I doing this? And then it starts to warm up and it's fine, you know? And so overcoming grief is very personal. A lot of it depends on the experiences you've had. If you've had an easy life, it's going to be harder. If you've had a hard life, it's going to be easier as long as it hasn't broken you down. A really hard life can break people down rather than building them up. Maybe you can back off and get it right. Grief is a process that we have to deal with every day, and it's always the same. You can lose a spouse, or you can stub your toe. They're the same. It's the same process. First, it's like shock, and then it's anger, which may be brief. You don't even know it's there, or it's very obvious. And then slowly you accept the fact you banged your toe, or you lost your wife, or whatever it was. And one takes minutes, and the other takes years or months. And you, as long as you know the process, that can give you the confidence that it's not going to go on forever, and you can get on with your life. And I find heroes help me a lot. I think kids need heroes in school. I had heroes like Tarzan, even though those books are denigrated now because they were kind of racist, but that was their day. H.G. Wells was racist, but that was the day. But these were heroes that I wanted to emulate. You know, you want to save the fair maiden or help the people in distress. And that's important. But when you get older, heroes like Jean-Dominique Bauby or Viktor Frankl are very, very powerful figures that you go like, damn, if they could deal with that, I can deal with this. Come on, get a spine. Another thing you can do is poem If by Rudyard Kipling. And it's for men and women, even though he says, you'll be a man, my son, at the end of the poem. Just read that, internalize it. Another thing is, I mean, I'm no Christian. I've been a secular my whole life, but the Serenity Prayer is worth saying, except, you know, the things you can't change, like I can't run like I did, and then do what you can do. And quite often I've found what helps me the most is finding I've helped someone else. When someone comes on here and says they did the PAD 100 and it helped, you have no idea how that provides me with the confidence to go forward with what I'm doing. It's just great. Great. That's all I can say. So yeah, you have to
I love that
process. You have to go through it, but you have to know what it is. And it's just a process. That's all it is.
So accepting what you can do. So with PAD, as I mentioned, a lot of people are in bed, and there are a lot of you know, bad days versus good days, you know, really as you're getting started and throughout the journey, we all have bad days and good days. Even if you don't have had, you have bad days, you have good days, no matter what. So if you're laying in bed and you can't get out and walk, you can wiggle your toes. You can do toe yoga. If you can literally put the little yoga toes on, and they're little spacers that just like what you would get if you get a pedicure. And I know men still do get pedicures as well. My dad does that. So many men do. You know what yoga, those spacers are. Separate your toes. Do the toe yoga. Go to Fiddle Dog, the YouTube page, and he has actual demonstrations of toe yoga. You can do that, right? And that'll give you one step, you know, more of confidence that you can do something, and it's helping to improve your circulation, right? It's just, what can you do right now?
A foot massage is very helpful.
Oh, and that feels really good.
Oh, it's really good, and it helps the blood flow and helps spread those arteries. I'm very lucky in that Sue will do that for me, my partner. And, you know, I met her because she had a running accident back in 2013. And fortunately, she went on Twitter and asked for advice. And fortunately, I gave advice that turned out to be helpful. And eventually that led to us being together now. So that's another story, but it reminds me of the story of the horse, which I'll tell you if you like.
Mm-hmm.
Shall I?
I would love,
Okay.
I love your stories.
It's a famous Chinese story. It's very old. It's told in many ways. But basically, there was a very poor old man and his son lived in a shack in the woods outside of a poor village. And they made their living by going through the forest and collecting firewood and exchanging firewood for food in the village. And that's how they got by. Anyway, the son was out collecting firewood one day. This, of course, is a typically Chinese story. He was out in the woods one day, and he saw an Arabian horse that had obviously escaped from a rich person, and he managed to entice the horse and catch the horse. So he went back with the horse back to the shack, and he showed his dad the horse, and he was all excited. It was like it was worth more than his wildest dreams. And his father said, "Yes, but that may be the worst thing that ever happened." And he said, "What do you mean, Dad? How do you mean the worst thing that ever happened?" And his dad doesn't say anything. Anyway, he manages to tame the horse, and he rides the horse, and he can collect a lot more firewood and actually go hunting for food and stuff like that. But one day the horse shies and throws him off. He falls, the horse runs off, he lands on the ground, he has a broken leg. So now he has to crawl back to his father, who puts a splint on his broken leg and lies him in bed. And he's bemoaning his fate. He hasn't got the horse. He's got a broken leg. He can't get around. How's he going to help his dad get the firewood? And his dad says, "Yes, this may be the best thing that ever happened." And his son is like, "Best thing that ever happened?" A couple of weeks later, soldiers come through the village, and they find all the able-bodied men, and they send them off to war, where almost all the men die in Chinese wars. They're really bad. But the man's son can't even walk, so he can't go off to the war. So his broken leg saves him from going to war and almost certain death. So in each case, you don't know the outcome of a situation until later. When I had my aortic aneurysm, I had no idea it would change my life for the better. It would change what I'm doing, would turn me into a writer, would have me writing these things to help people. I was busy doing science and Ironman, and then I had this aneurysm. It changed everything. You'd think it was a disaster. It turned out to be a great gift. So when you have PAD and you can't run anymore, like you did, I mean, you can probably hop for a while, but that's another story. Anyway, you can do hopathons. And so if it's unilateral, excuse me, joking. Anyway, so, go through the grief, deal with it, be a man or a woman, be tough. And remember, it's not going to go on forever. It's not going to go on forever. And
it's interesting. I love what you say there, because we have our friend Marie that's now in our live studio audience, and I do not wish PAD on anyone at all. But I would not have met Marie if it weren't for PAD. And she knows this very personally, that when I lost my best friend, my mom, that in whether you believe in spirits or whatever, in this case for me, I'm a believer. I'm a real believer now, thanks to Marie, because my mom made herself known to Marie. And Marie didn't understand this whole thing. And Marie goes onto our Facebook page. And one day, just on a random post, she puts in there something about, "Kim, I don't know. I just feel like I'm supposed to talk to you about turtles. I don't know why." And the next thing you know, she's on Amazon buying an infinity necklace with turtles on it. And she's like, "Kim, I don't know why your name is coming to mind, turtles. And I've never bought jewelry online before in my life, but for some reason I'm being attracted to doing this. And I'm doing this for you. And I don't know why." My mom was obsessed with turtles. We have turtle shrines all over our house. And I always used to say to my mom, and she would say to me, "I love you more, infinity. I love you more, infinity. Know me more, know me more." And so the infinity necklace and turtles, I feel as though, my mom was speaking to her, and it helped comfort me that maybe my mom is still here supporting me and guiding me in a way that I need. But if it weren't for PAD, I would never have met Marie, and I may never have gotten that message. And I would never have had that comfort to be able to move forward with my life. So thank you to Marie. I appreciate her so much. But I think that story, aligns with it. And something that Sir Richard Branson said to me with Virgin Brands, he said to me at one point, he said, "A, B, C, D, always be connecting the dots." A lot of times you don't understand in the moment why you are where you are. But as you look back, once you move forward, when you look back and you start connecting the dots, you kind of go, "Oh, wow, now I understand it." And I think that's what you're saying as well, Kevin.
Yep. you never know where things are going to be coming together and where things that look bad turn out to be good. It's happened to me so many times. One thing is really important, and that is to be kind to yourself and kind to others. And if you're kind to others, the funny thing is you're rewarded later in the strangest, unexpected ways. It's a fact. My background is in science. I have a lot of interest in mathematics and quantum mechanics. And as I slowly understand the new approaches to physics, I realize why everything is actually truly connected through interference patterns and electromagnetic waves, which is basically what we are. And things truly are actually connected. And okay, bad things happen to good people. That's a fact. That's part of living on the biosphere. If you're the rabbit and you're eaten by the fox, who's the bad guy? The fox? Well, he needs to eat. You're the rabbit. You didn't run fast enough or whatever. And so you want healthy rabbits, and that's one way to get healthy rabbits. So it's a matter of dealing with it. But the real challenge I find is, how do I help people who have given up? It's Alan mentioned that. Alan, who has the bilateral amputation, he said he feels really sad. He sees people in wheelchairs, because he has to go see physicians and hospitals and stuff, and he sees people who are slumped and given up, and he wonders how to wake them up, how to make them realize there's a life to be had. How do you help? And you can take a horse to water, right? But you can't help it. You can't make it drink. And our job is to try and entice them out of that sense of apathy back to life, because life is still there. That's the challenge we face. But the people are already here. So we as patients can help fellow patients in a number of ways. Number one is by example. We're out there doing it. Number two is by telling stories of ourselves or our friends or heroes. And I see everyone here as a PAD hero. They're taking it on. We can tell about our heroes, who they are. And for me, it's mainly Jean-Dominique Bauby, just impressed the hell out of me. So, yeah. And the funny thing is, helping others helps us more than anything else.
And I'm wondering if, I don't know if Marie minds unmuting, because I think she's you could learn a lot from her and her experience and what she's going through. And, with that emotional roller coaster when it comes to PAD, because there have been moments, even Mike and Douglas, if they want to jump in, because there have been times where they've completely given up. And I know Douglas had one of those moments recently, and it'd be interesting to hear about those moments when they're just like, I'm done, I'm over it. But how did they get past that? And what I always tell people is that it's okay to be where you are. It's okay to be in that pity party, but I want you to consciously remind yourself, this is not where I want to be. I do prefer to feel better, and have something that will make you feel better, that's in your mind, that you can do, that will make you feel better. For example, I always used to say I loved my vanilla lattes. And so if I was in my own little poopy corner with my own little poopy face, and I was just being self-deprecating and, going down that cascade, that domino effect, I would always say to myself, this is where I am right now. I know I don't prefer to be here, but this is okay where I'm at, but I prefer to feel better. I know that. And I know that if I got my vanilla latte, I will feel better. And when I'm ready, I will go get that latte. And it always just changes things for me.
I have a question.
Sure.
Why would you ruin a latte with vanilla? It's gross.
I don't do. It's drinking a certain brand of coffee that is burnt, and it doesn't taste very well, and the vanilla masked the flavor. So it's interesting you say that, because now I learned what good coffee is, and I drink high quality coffee, and I don't need to put vanilla in it at all, because I just love the different flavors. I've learned to appreciate the different flavors of coffee. So good point. Good point.
I heard a good coffee story yesterday on a movie. Sue and I were watching the movie The Help, and apparently a little girl who was white asked the help, who was black, why she was black, and she said, because I drank too much coffee. Great movie.
That's awesome. And we
Yeah, when
have PT-103 that loves your philosophical ideas. They say are gems, which is really amazing. And we have Tom who's on YouTube that's asking about the walking program. Your wife is on the walking program. Go ahead and email info at padhelp.org and send me her phone number and her name, and I will go ahead and give her a call as soon as we're done here, and we'll get her signed up for the program, which I have to do with the other gentleman I mentioned earlier who's in the UK, Rob, who's signing up for the walking program. If you want to sign up for a walking program, it's the only structured walking program, the app that you can actually go to inspirationalselfhelpbooks.com and get all the tips and tricks from Kevin on how to walk effectively, and then go on our app and actually track your progress, your claudication time, and just see your progress. And you can even share your progress with your doctor as well through the app. So info at padhelp.org to sign up for that as well. And Maria's saying, yeah, she's still having a bad day. So I wonder if we could, in our last few moments here, maybe, help get Marie back into a good place today.
Hey,
And
Marie,
get her motivated to exercise.
Marie's one of our heroes, and she's going to
Yes,
have
we
bad
love
days,
Marie.
good days like the rest of us. So just dwell on it. Wallow in it for now, Marie. It'll go away.
It always does. And it's always like, you got to prefer to feel better. And we know you feel better. And we know how much you help other people. And Marie, you're so good at helping other people. I know it makes you feel good to go into the group and say, hey, who's here that needs an ear? Go ahead and message me, because I'm here and I can help you. And I'm happy to listen and support you. And in those moments, I know those things turn around. Turn things around for you. Serving others is such a great, good feeling thing. It feels you're selfless, but yet you're also selfish at the same time, which is okay. You're allowed a reward for helping others. It makes you feel good.
One thing you can do when people are in the shock phase and coming out of shock and they're angry, listening to them can be very helpful for them. You don't want them ranting on and going crazy and driving themselves nuts by being rude, but listening to people can be quite a gift.
Yep.
It took me a long time to learn that, because I tended to interrupt. I wasn't a good listener. Another thing I was going to mention was I found I'm very high on the Asperger's spectrum. I wrote a book about that and did a study and mapped it out. And so whether you're more emotional or more, I guess, logical or thinking in the way you operate is quite an important thing. So knowing yourself is very helpful, which goes back to Socrates. So, we're all different. Just because I have a way of doing a thing doesn't mean you'll have that way of doing things. It's quite tricky. If you're a very emotional person, Marie, I feel very sorry for you, because I'm not.
I know. And that's why you have me. We joke about this, but Kevin made me take the test to see where I was at on the spectrum. We're literally on the opposite sides of the spectrum. So it's great because we balance things out for each other.
Yeah, that test is actually really good. It goes from 0 to 50. It's called the Autism Spectrum Quotient Test. It's very well developed. The background of it, the science behind it is well explained in the related paper on PubMed. I ran a study of over 100 people and found that they tended to map to their jobs. The highest score I got was a guy called Tom who had a 43. And what does Tom do? He uses mathematics to design electromagnetic fields with solar farms. I mean, come on, how nerdy can you get? And I've got another friend who's a 6, so I bike with, and if she gets upset, she comes out in a rash. I mean, she's so emotional, it causes her to express her emotion as a dermal response, as a rash. And we're all different. And the trick is to know yourself and know who you are, what you're. My weakness when it comes to being more, you can call it logical if you like. I don't know, the intellect. No, it's not intellectual. It's just more thinking than feeling. Is that I can't read people. For a long time, I used to insult people being. I don't have empathy. It doesn't mean I don't care. I just can't read other people's emotions. It's like people have to tell me.
You remind me of Sheldon in The Big Bang Theory. I've gotten addicted to that show. He's like, I don't understand. Was that rhetorical? I don't understand.
I have a friend who calls me Mr. Spock. And
Oh,
the main
that's funny.
character, Michael Burry in The Big Short, he's clearly on the autism spectrum at the
Yep.
Asperger's end. And he says he can't be sarcastic. He just runs numbers. And I could completely relate to him. The main character in The Queen's Gambit, I felt like I was watching myself in her behavior. And so, yeah, but then other people, I've known people who can go into a room and read everybody's feelings and tell you
Yeah.
that person over there is angry and that person there is unhappy and I like that person there. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I can't see it at all. I'm totally blind to that. But then they'll do things that seem so illogical to me. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Anyway, are you doing better now, Marie?
Hope you're doing better. Hopefully you're enjoying. The one good step is that you're actually here. And so you want to feel better, and that's why you're here, because if you didn't want to feel better, you wouldn't be here. And it doesn't matter that you're still right there where you are, but you know what? The fact that you're here is such a great sign that you want to feel better. And she says, "I'll be okay. I always will eventually. I always am eventually." And that's good, because you allow yourself to be where you are and you know you're going to feel better. And the one thing I always tell people is I have very dry eyes clinically, and I struggle with crying. And a lot of times people tell me, and they'll call me in tears and whatever, and they're like, "I'm so sorry." I'm like, "Don't apologize. You're actually making me envious." I wish I had tears, because when you cry, you're cleansing. Allow yourself to cleanse through tears. It's better than other manifestations. Get it out and just free yourself of those. And just, it's an internal cleanse when you allow those tears to flow. And it's amazing actually how good crying will ultimately make you feel, because it's a clearing for you. But Kevin, I want to go back to something before we end here. God, I could sit here and talk to you for just hours. Um, but I think this is a really important part of conquering the mountain of this emotional roller coaster when it comes to PAD. And it's something that's near and dear to me. And when I built the Global PAD Association, or I should say we all built, we're still all building it together. And that's where you come in and you say, it's great to have all the feedback, because it's every one of you and your feedback that this whole thing is built upon. But a lot of other organizations put patients on pedestals, and patients start to get on the speaking circuit about their disease, and they're doing videos about their disease over and over and over again, and telling the same story of how they walk to get to where they are, but they're constantly telling the same story. And that's an issue, because I think that there are different ways to tell the story, so that because the story evolves, you can't keep going back and telling that same exact story over and over again, because you're going to stay there. And what's great about you, and I think you exemplified the right way to tell the story, is it's always evolving for you, right? Your story may still be PAD, but now it's moved forward. Hey, I have a struggle with PAD. That's great. I could tell you that, but I'm going to run a marathon in May, and I'm going to take you on that journey to get there. And you're always evolving it. So, can you touch upon the keys to telling the story so that it takes you forward versus bringing you back? Because you say part of the grief process is to leave the past behind.
I think the answer to that is to get across the point that it is a journey. And if these people are doing this, then really on Joe Campbell's hero's journey. And at the end of that journey, they're helping others, but not by just, they also need to be continuing their own journey and their own story to keep it dynamic. I remember reading a book of mathematics on mathematical modeling using differential calculus, and it started off with the statement, life is wet and dynamic. It has to be dynamic and constantly evolving and growing.
Yeah.
The real question I have is, if these patients are going on telling their stories, but it's motivated by the medical profession, what are they doing? Are they advertising their wares? Why are they doing this? Because I don't know many doctors who understand what we're dealing with unless they have it themselves. So that's my question. I don't know who these people are or what you're talking about. I've never seen them. But yeah, it's a journey. I mean, it really is. And the other thing is, I have PAD, but I have other problems too. I have life. I have all these other things. I have a wonderful partner. I have these animals I deal with, and they get old and they die, and you have to deal with that. And once again, you have to deal with grief. So PAD, it just becomes a small part of my life. It's not the whole story of my life, and it's not who I am. And so I don't know who these people are, but I think Joseph Campbell kind of nails it with the hero's journey. And there's more than one dragon that you have to deal with as you go along. And PAD helps you cope with those other dragons. And one of them is kindness. One is dealing with the politics of the day, which changes all the time, or unfriendly neighbors or whatever. And so, yeah, you don't want to be beating a drum as if, okay, I've done it. You never did it. You're still doing it. It's a journey. It's absolutely a journey. And who those people are you're talking about, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's how do we tell the story, move forward versus there are a lot that they want to suddenly write, have a regular blog, but they keep going back. It's one thing to have where you said the aortic, um, having the aortic aneurysm and PAD has helped you move forward, but you're different because you actually have clinical experience. You're a pathologist, you're a retired veterinarian, and you can take it to a different level and think about it very differently to move the needle forward versus getting lost in the cycle of the story of PAD. And I think that's very, very, very different. You mentioned earlier that once you conquer it, one of the ways in which you can move forward is to become the peer expert and to be there for other people. And that's very different, right? Listening to them, but then helping them not to live the disease, helping them to find something else that they can focus on and to move forward, letting them know it's okay where they are, but helping them to move forward. For example, with Mike here, I love that Mike has been out there walking this entire time. He's getting a good hour in. But with him, for example, having him remember, I mean, look at that beautiful scenery that he has around them, the beautiful house that he and his partner live in, and his partner and his dogs, and I mean, all these great things that you have in your life. And Marie, you have the most beautiful family, and I know so much heart goes into each and every member of your family. You're so selfless, with so many of them. And I remember her saying just recently, you know what, I cannot go and have this procedure knowing that my little baby grandbaby is, sitting here and maybe doesn't have someone that she knows to take care of her. Like, I can't do that. And it's so wonderful to have that love in your life and to have this purpose with your grandbabies, your other members of your family, and including your fur babies, right? It's important to focus on those great things and just remind yourself. They say, and I'm curious your perspective as we close out here and conquering this emotional roller coaster. It's making sure each and every moment that you take that moment to be grateful, because the power of gratefulness can conquer those emotional mountains, right?
Yeah, when you're talking about those people and the way they're presenting the material, you have to understand that these are the story wars, and the people who tell the best stories win the war. And so rather than focusing on them, a better thing to do is to focus on what you can do, and that is to improve your stories. So telling these stories is quite critical. We tell ourselves stories all the time, and the stories we tell ourselves define us. I told myself the story for much of my early life that I was short. Okay, I'm 5'6". And my mother said I was short, and I believed I was short. And eventually I let that go. And it was quite difficult because for men, women prefer tall men as a general rule, and therefore you're told you're not attractive. Well, that was just a story I told my younger self. It was a lie. I'm within the normal range, within 2 standard deviations of the mean. Who cares? And so we've got to win the story wars. I don't know if you've read Jonas Sachs' book, Winning the Story Wars. Well worth reading. It's brilliant. And then if you study archetypes in marketing and you make sure you have the right archetype, I mean, I wonder, what's my archetype? Well, I learn all this stuff, so in a way I'm the sage, but then you don't want to be arrogant. Another way, I'm the mentor, so I'm trying to instruct people on what to do. At the same time, I'm the hero of my own story because I got my own dragon to fight. And so understanding archetypes and stories will help us win the story wars. And that
Yeah.
is the trick. I'm pretty sure that's the answer. I'm not interested in focusing on these people I don't know. I'm much more interested in winning the story wars and helping people, because the best stories sell and they
Yeah.
work and they reach people.
And so what story, I think this is a good place to leave it. What story do you want to be telling? It's okay that right now the story is you don't feel good, that you're not in a good place. That's fine. This story may be that you have PAD, but what story do you want to tell? And maybe Mike, we could end, maybe you can share with us, what story do you really want to tell? What story makes you feel good about where you're at and where you want to be? Go ahead and unmute and share it, because it would be amazing to hear your perspective. And if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead in comments. Tell us, what story do you want to be telling? It's fine. You can share what story you're telling yourself now, but what story do you want to tell? Mike?
Being put right on the spot like that.
I love it. I
I
love
don't know.
doing that to you because you're a good sport.
No. I want to be able to put forward to people that it isn't the end of the world. I still have bad days. I still get depressed. I still wonder about what my future's going to hold. But every day I get up and give myself courage to do my walk, get out there, do something different every single day. Move forward with it. Don't let it drag you and leave you in the past. It's if you've got PAD, then you've got it now for the foreseeable future. So you've got to live alongside it. It's like Kevin said with the grief. It is hard. I've been through grief. I've been through really bad grief. I lost my husband 5 years ago. I lost my dad 3 years before that. I've been some really terrible grief. And look at me now. I've moved forward. I still grieve, John. Of course, I still think about him every day. I still think about my dad a lot. I still find it hard to talk about my dad. But here I am. I'm living in Canada now, not the UK. I've moved forward with a new partner. We're remarried. My new partner is also a widower and lost his husband the same year as I lost John. So 6 months ago, when I found out that I had PAD, I thought that it was the end of my life. But now, 6 months on, and I look back at my post that I was putting on 6 months ago, Kim, to where I am now, I'm just a completely different person.
Yeah.
So I just want people to know that you can live alongside it. You can beat it. As long as you stay one step ahead of it. Don't let it drag you back.
It's a new
So,
story today. You're not there. It's a new story today.
yeah. And I go out on my walks every day, like you say. I've just done an hour walk during this call. And I 6 months ago, I was getting claudication pain after 10 minutes of walking. Now I'm walking up hills. I climbed a mountain 6 weeks ago. I do running. I do 1 minute intervals of running. Now on the treadmill, I do an hour and 40 minutes daily on the treadmill. All right, I've got the opportunity to, because I don't work at the moment. I'm still waiting for my work permits to come through. So I have got the time to do things, but I don't take that time to dwell on it anymore. I don't lie on the couch every day crying and wondering what my future is going to hold. I get up and do things every day now. So
6 months
that's my story.
ago, 6 months ago, PAD defined you, but now you define PAD.
Yeah, I'm hoping so.
And I think we have a new slogan for your book, Kevin.
What's that?
I think Mike helped us to give you a new slogan for your book, new additional subtitle. It's how you get from PAD defining you to you defining PAD.
PAD. Yeah. I still struggle. And there's still days, like I say, on Friday, when I got up and I got really bad claudication pain. It really set me back a bit. I ended up having a cry in the afternoon with my partner and wondering, is this going to happen again? Is this, have I blocked up a little bit more? Is that the reason why it's coming on? So I took the weekend off and just did a couple of small walks at the weekend. And then I did another big walk on Monday, and I did the running, I did the fast-paced walk, and didn't get any claudication pain. So, like Kevin said, it's just that day. Tomorrow is a different day.
It was probably telling you to back off.
Yeah, and give yourself a bit of a rest, which I did over the weekend. So,
You're right. Sometimes the best workout is no workout. I learned that from Ironman training. It's really true.
yeah. So that's my story. I hope that inspires other people.
It does, because Marie just wrote in here. She says she loves you, Mike. And
I love you
see,
too,
just
Marie.
My God,
and
you
we
people,
all
you're so emotional. What's going on here?
okay, Sheldon.
I'm
Okay,
not like
stop.
you, Kevin. I am the
But you know, it's
emotional person. I have got the
me
emotional
too.
background.
But that it works really well. I mean, with you and I love Jordy too. Your partner is just amazing. And it's almost like me and Kevin, we're two opposite, but we complement each other. And what's really great is that, and this is why I say, Kevin, that you remind me of Sheldon in Big Bang Theory, is because he wants to understand the emotion. He may not feel it, but he recognizes now, over time, that it's there, that people do feel it, and he respects it. And that's what I see in you as well. And I think that that's also what's so amazing about you, is that you may not feel it yourself, but I almost feel like you are kind of feeling it in seeing it through other people, because you do recognize it and you honor it. And I think that that's amazing.
Yeah, we have to respect each other's point of view.
Hmm.
That's true.
So
True.
next week, what did we say we are going to talk about? Hopefully everyone will join us again. We had such a great studio audience, and we appreciate everyone joining in on YouTube as well. And for all of your engagement, it really means a lot to us. What are we talking about next week?
I suggest we talk about pain. I wrote
Okay.
a book. I'm not marketing the book. I wrote a book on pain. I think 18 different kinds of pain. And it's a really important topic. And learning how to face your pain rather than run away from your pain is a very important part of PAD training. So that seems like a good subject.
I think that would be great, because I think that that's one of the things that we mentioned in the beginning here, is that part of the emotional roller coaster and what hinders people in um, going and exercising is that fear of pain. So maybe taking a step back and helping people to understand the different types of pain, that would be an incredible topic. And we're going to be doing that next week. In the meantime, if you can, it helps us a lot if you like this video. So those of you watching on YouTube, make sure you do like this video and subscribe to our channels, youtube.com/the way to my heart. And also Kevin's YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/the fit old dog. And you can go and you can subscribe to his newsletter for more tips and tricks, and to follow him on his incredible journey to that marathon in May. And that is inspirationalselfhelpbooks.com. If you have further questions about your symptoms of leg pain, leg cramps, neuropathy, foot burning, tingling, you might have some hair loss on your legs, shiny legs, maybe a cold foot, go ahead and call our Leg Saver hotline at 1-833-PAD-LEGS. And we're here to help you. We can also get you in contact with Kevin as well and provide you with his resources to help you in your journey. We also have our My Steps walking program that you can get a hold of us at info@padhelp.org, and we'll go ahead and sign you up so you can have an app to track your progress. But thanks everyone for joining us, and thank you so much to Kevin for donating your time, being so gracious, and being here each week to help everyone in their PAD journey.
We're all in this together.